and whatever I see is smiling at me. Love is who I am. Hello there and welcome to this video with me here in these beautiful Alps. So today I wish to speak to you about the void and the meaning of the void. And you might ask yourself, how is this appropriate for this time of creativity when we have the Leo sun and the Leo eclipses and the Lion's Gate, and everything is all about the lion in August, which is such a powerful month every year, and especially this year because of these eclipses. Well, the thing is that no one truly can create at the deepest level of the womb of creation and understanding creation principles if they have not ignited within them and accepted fully the aspect that we call the void. I have a short announcement for all of you. In August, I will be taking more time off. This is almost like my retreat month because I've been working so hard on my books that the whole of July was kind of like, And this is such a beautiful time. And here in the Alps, as you know, summer is short. And we really have to take advantage of these beautiful days that are presenting themselves to us, and especially because of the eclipse. So this video will kind of carry the potential of that which is available, and I want to leave that as a legacy of where it all begins, which is the womb of creation. And a lot of people at this time are struggling and are feeling the void, and we don't always understand the void. But the principle, the basic principle behind the void is that from the void, we build a new level of the self. And as our bodies even rest, as our bodies integrate, they take this time to be out, is we kind of like put on hold all this processing of all this energy that we're so used to, you know. As beings, we're so used to always kind of like trying to do something and always filling up the void, the gap. And I see a lot of people, you know, when I go here to the mountains and when I hike and I climb, you know, I just go for nature. I go slowly and I enjoy, and I'm with the rocks. I always pick rocks, you know, I'm with flowers. And I notice people who are all about the sports are like running, chasing, bike, this, that. And there's so many people like here, you know, because it is kind of like an active place here. There's a lot of active portal energy here. But a lot of people have a limited perception of, you know, we're always needing to achieve, to strive for more, to strive for greatness. But it's almost like this level we're creating is always the same. It's like this routine. So without the void, our creativity is stuck in a rut. Even if it looks like while we're always doing something, it's not deeply honoring the soul that is constantly needing that space to expand and to nourish itself from that abyss, you know. And a lot of people are so afraid of stepping into the void because out of all the people I talk to, out of people, when I talk to them, out of all the issues they've been having, the main thing that they struggle is this void. And a lot of people don't know what to do with that. And a lot of people also think that I don't experience this because I'm a guide and I do these things. And the thing is, I experience that just the same way. And I have to tell you, when the void comes, I'm not liking it. The same way, my human self, the mind, which is so ancient that, you know, it's just there. It's still perceiving through its own filter. And that aspect of us just doesn't want to change. And it's always needing to have a confirmation of what to do next. What am I supposed to achieve? I don't get it. I don't understand when I'm in the void. But I've learned, even though I have this experience of the void, to integrate that in the terms of familiarity. I recognize it. I've learned to embrace it when I recognize when the period of void is there. And at that time, I don't try to force any activity upon myself. I don't try to force, you know, sometimes I'm not even guided to do yoga because yoga stimulates a lot of Kundalini energy. And at times when body just wants to integrate, we have to allow the body to do that, you know, to take away all that neuroprocessing that's always happening. And, you know, there's the neural networks or neural networks, whatever you might call them, they're always bringing the potential and the new information to our cells, and then the morphogenetic field of our cells is processing that, and sometimes the body just wants to integrate what it's already absorbed, and it does not want new information as light. And at those times we have to honor the needs of the body. And when we understand the principle of the dark, of the womb of creativity, and I talk about this and I teach about this principle of light as in coming from the shadow and from our womb self and from our light self, or our logo self, our Christ itself. And I teach about that in my Tantra Life Force Mastery course so that you can learn to work with both aspects of creation. There's also a light activation there. If you don't want to purchase the whole course, although it's highly recommendable because there's the basic understanding in all those hours of these teachings. But if you just want to do the light activation as well, if you don't have the funds somehow, just get the activation because it's super powerful. It teaches you how to embrace and create from the void aspect as well as from your light self aspect, because from this perspective we're whole and we're an integrated being. A lot of people, they're always striving to compensate for their lack of understanding or not yet that fully expanded perception. They're trying to compensate just with the spirit perspective. And a lot of times these people go only vertical and they forget about the horizontal. So the void is in direct alignment and connection or connectivity with the aspect of us that is also at the co-creator level. And this is beautifully explained in the books that I gave you as showcasing, you know, as this beautiful example of trying to, or expanding yourself in this new level. Trying is not a good word though, as you know. So these books, and the last one was the the realization book, and it's beautifully explained there how much the co-creator level is necessary for us to really step into our true potential, because we're not just the source. The source divided itself into all these multiplicities of who we are, all these individual soul aspects. And when we connect as those individual aspects, we create a powerful network of light. So we don't just have an understanding of, okay, I'm connecting with source vertically and the rest does not really deal with me. I don't have to deal with the rest because I'm an isolated being. I'm just me. Sovereignty, I talk about sovereignty, as you know, does not really have that in its direct implication. So in the core truth, we are source and we are vertical, but we also need to nourish the relating part, not just relationships with other humans, but the relating aspect with all life in creation. And I call this aspect the Holy Spirit, as you know. The Holy Spirit is that connection with all life in creation. And me, as a creation pillar, my mission in a lot of terms is not just to establish source connection or show people how to get that. There's a lot of people talking about that, but mostly I help people with bringing that source alignment into everything, into every aspect of life. And I'm sorry it's a bit windy now, so I have to talk a little louder because I don't have a professional camera, so you get what you get. These waves come, you know. So when there's a void, windless void, I'm going to try to speak. Okay, so the aspect of us that really wants to co-create, and this is also the aspect of Leo, is not just me, myself, and I, but how do I bring my highest ideal or sovereignty and know how to relate it with all the other aspects? Perhaps not everyone, because not everyone is where you are and they don't have the perception to be in flow with you, and they want to kind of sometimes prevent that flow, but we will always find those that will be supportive of our process. So you know, that begins with our spirit connection, it goes with our loved ones, or soul connections, and then those who are our connections here on earth, presently embodied, incarnated with us. So there's always someone and there's always support at the co-creator level, because if we think we're just source and we focus only on that aspect without nourishing or sustaining these relationships at the co-creator level, we're never going to create at the co-creator level. We're always going to be perceiving ourselves as this isolated point, you know, but it's not really what source is. Source wants to, it spread itself out, it thrusted into being, it created this network of all these beautiful variations of creation, which is what I always give you as a word of truth. And then it wants to create an empowered network of light when those aspects start to sync and lock in and recognize each other within yourself as light and then with the others as light. So that's one aspect. The void helps you to recognize those connections and to help you recognize aspects of you that are nourishing and to let go of those aspects that are not nourishing. But the biggest part, the gift of life of the void, is that it brings you a new fresh perspective, because when we're always in this doing mode, you know, I used to be a lot like that, and probably aspects of me still are. you know, when I put away my camera or the writing tool or something, sometimes, you know, I'm out in nature. I'm always finding something to do. I'm always full of life. But there are moments when I'm so into this work and what I need to do that when I stop doing it, I'm void. I'm like, what do I do now? And at those times, I need to allow myself for that void to wash over me completely. And you won't get it, but I mean, you will get it. I want to say it's so simple when you try it out, because when we resist the void, we always want to do something. And the majority of humans is doing that. It's overcompensating always with either with food, with relationships that are not healthy for us, that are not at that co-creator level, that do not nourish, you know, the aspect of us that is soul infused, but rather that personality, identity, you know, egoically approaching life. So at that time, just really breathe into the void, expand yourself, just keep breathing, because a lot of people misplace the sense of void for feeling depressed. And it's not really depression. And the moment you will start, you know, saying, oh, I'm depressed, you start, you know, infusing yourself with something. It's like another programming that's just a belief, and you're not probably even really depressed. It's just a lack of recognition of what's really happening with you. So there's another aspect of this void that is superly important, is at those times it's so important to nourish your sacred space. And recently I've posted some pictures of myself, and a lot of times I do, and some of them were when I'm in my sacred space there. I have the sacred pool of water there in the Alps, in my mountain gorge, and I put this picture of myself when I'm without clothes, but it's really from afar and you can't really see anything. It's just basically an essence. I always share things at the essence level to help people see what's truly important and what's truly the sacredness of life. And I found someone on Facebook, I don't even know who that was, I don't know the person. They said, why are you recently posting such sexual pictures? And I'm like, what sexual pictures? I don't understand. And I was literally shown through spirit how quickly people make everything sexual. It's because we were programmed that nudity, that our bodies are sexualized, because we're shown through these lower agendas that there's a great sexualization of us as vehicles of light. And it's not truly what it's about. And when it's done through your own reverence, you know, when I do it, I'm always, when I'm alone, I have to tell you, I'm still very shy when it comes to other humans. And I really am passionate about photography, because through pictures, my light can travel through sometimes more than words. And when I express myself this way and it's authentic, and then people go against that and say, why are you, you know, so sexual? And I'm like, what? I don't understand. And even my yogic pictures, right? A lot of yogic poses, if you look at the mainstream media, the mainstream, not media, but people, right? People's media. When they're posting these pictures, there's so many pictures, and you can say, wow, all of these are sexual because there's these poses, right? And women doing it in tops. And the thing is that it's just a connection to life. And these people who think of source only as vertical have this judgment of life, which is horizontal, and our vehicles and the sacredness of the body and nature. So they go against these organic things. And whenever they see someone naked, they're like, it's sexual. Your energy, the essence that comes through you, is either sexual or not. So you can be naked at the same time someone can produce a sexual, you know, emanation, and someone might not. So someone who reads that as sexual has an imprinting of this sexuality within them. And I wanted to mention this because it's so important, because the void is also serving for us to get rid of those patternings, because they're not truly honoring our spirit when it comes into form. And whereas people who are saying things like that and they're judgmental, don't judge them, because they're just being programmed. So you can remove yourself from them. You can, you know, find your own sacred space in people who do understand, and there's always those who do. But watch for those signs that are showing you as guidelines, right? As post-its that say, look, you know, this is where we have been so manipulated. But what is the void teaching us? And it's the people who don't allow themselves to be in the void that are constantly mentally feeding themselves through either known familiar ideas. Something comes from the media, something comes from the government, something was told like eons and eons ago, and it's like a repetitive, constantly going on, like the wheel and wheels of life, but it's not truly the wheel of life. So I also want to say, that in my upcoming videos, when I'm going to be doing again videos, now I'm taking a little holiday, personal retreat basically, but after that I was guided, Spirit showed me that I need to speak more about the nature of life in nature itself and Holy Spirit, because this is such a huge part of my life that just talking about Ascension, which is a lot about that vertical, I also need to honor the aspect of me that is horizontal. And because of that, I've been sharing so much of material, like my pictures, my blogs, in a sense through photography, because photography for me shows the essence of light as it's embodied. You know, pictures of me in my sacred space, or just sacred spaces that I visit, that I, you know, commune with. And that's the beauty of the Holy Spirit, and that's the gift of Holy Spirit, because Holy Spirit is the essence of life itself. And we always want to make it something. We want to make it a person. We want to personify it. We want to give it a tagline, a label. And then when a being comes that embodies the essence of Holy Spirit, we say, well, that's sexual. It's because we negated that aspect of us that is the void, that is the womb, that is the creative space for that new, for new perspectives, for new approaches, and for new creativity levels, which produce little physical manifestations. I also want to give you this thing that Spirit showed me that's important, is when we manifest things, right, the sense of void is always present with our manifestations. If you look at the nature of the Big Bang, we say, well, everything was created instantly. No, the Big Bang, from the perspective of suddenly happening and being like a ripple effect that went through the cosmic gateways and corridors of life, what happened was, it might have seemed this was an instantaneous event. But everything that developed, all the planets, all the mass, right, that need to gather from the gases and get together, you know, the suns, the stars, emanating their material, becoming planets, starting to rotate, starting to intermingle, interact, all of that, creating life, intelligent life, humans, all of that, right? You know the sense of basic evolution story. It didn't happen overnight. So our creations, when we're physically experiencing changes in our life, which is literally going from one operational system to the other, it's not easy and it's never going to be easy. So the void is an aspect of us that says, look, we're not going in a straight line, we're going in a spiral. So a spiral always requires you to come to that, that point where you were before. But you now lifted yourself up to a higher frequency at that point. So at that time, the void comes. So you can, instead of repeating the old, you can integrate that within the new. And it happens within your neural networks. And I said, it has to come through every cell of your body. Imagine that. It doesn't happen overnight. And everyone who wants instant manifestation does not understand the laws of creation, does not understand the forming through alchemy, because literally our bodies are alchemizing themselves into a new form, which does not happen overnight. So every gateway we go through, opens us up a little more to the new energy integration. It's not going to have an effect on everyone, because if you're not doing the work, nothing's happening. It's normal. If you say, I resist that, your soul will not force you, and you will have the free will to choose what you're choosing now. But those of you who are progressing, you're always going to be experiencing the void, because the void is that birthing womb point just before a new creativity emanates. So how is this relating to this highly potent creative time of the Leo energy and the Leo eclipses and the golden eclipses, basically how Spirit is calling them, is because the void is always a predecessor of that which follows. And I want to read you this because I've literally found, as I was intuitively shuffling, right, my oracles when August began, and I really wanted to have a message, right, and this is what came through, and it was just so much in resonance with what I'm experiencing, with what a lot of people are sharing with me. So take this time of the eclipses to allow the void. Perhaps, I always have these ideas when I'm going to go next. Oh, tomorrow I'm going to go hiking to this hill. Oh, I'm going to go to the gorge. Or there, I have this always, usually I have this, always knowing, I'm always guided. But there's moments when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, what the heck am I going to do with myself today? It's not that, it's not that I don't have infinite possibilities. I can go anywhere I want, but it's like the body won't allow me, and the body's at pause. And I'm like, please give me guidance where to go. Nothing comes. And at those times we doubt ourselves or the guidance the most, and we say, we're not guided. No. I've recently read the most beautiful description in the Aha Self-Realization book from Vivamus, or, the higher aspect of Sanat Kumara. And it's so beautifully explained, this process, because we're electrical beings. And this is that part which I say, when this electricity, when we're being upgraded, travels through our whole neural network system and our cells and the morphogenic fields that the cells emanate which literally becomes different aspects of who we are, and then we synthesize them and we function as a whole unit. So when that electricity, imagine the current, you're rewiring, right, goes to the new level, at a certain point, it's said that even though all of our 4 bodies might be fully functioning and balanced and whole, but there won't be at a point of interconnectedness. So at that times we're going to feel like, what the heck, what's happening? And this is that void, but it's necessary. It's a part of the process. So the best thing is to keep on loving yourself. Or those times, those of you who are always in service, I know how that feels. At certain times, we have to increase the light quotient of the service to self so that the radiant lighthouse that we are will have a bigger capacity to serve even more, because we can't always serve at the same level. We have to let go of that level. New people come who will do that now. You're coming up, you're narrowing your pathway because you're getting closer and closer to your true authentic core nature, that it will literally be embodied here on the earth. That's ascension. It's physical ascension. And from that point, right, you grow in that new light self. So it's almost like the process from the Scorpio to the eagle and then to the phoenix, like 3 basic stages, which again is divine trinity. And this message literally came through as I was feeling the void, and as I was knowing how many initiations I went through, and it felt like, but nothing's happening on the outside. And this message truly explains this beautifully. It's from the Crystal Mandala Oracle by Elena Fairchild. These messages here are so resonant. I really love this oracle. I just have a booklet with me today because I'm in the mountains, so I don't have much space to go with, so I can't show you the card. But if you have your deck, or you can browse it online, all the oracles are now posted online. Just write Ascended Master Yogananda and Rhodonite. That's the crystal, and it's called the Empowered Service number 25. And I will read you the message now. We bring you the blessing of empowered service. It is your time to assume your place in the world at the table of the masters, who serve the loving hand of the divine. You have been asking for your purpose to be more clearly unveiled and manifested in the world. You have endured lessons of patience. You have learned that spiritual progress can be made even without results being immediately obvious. You have learned trust and a willingness to surrender your personal desires into a larger plan. We know that of which you are capable, and we now invite you to step into the next level of empowered service, available to your soul in service to the greater plan of divine love unfolding. So when you have that sense, and if it's perhaps longer lasting, it's not just a daily void you're feeling, it's probably at those times when you're shifting and your soul wants to get you to the next level. And the more you're hating it or you're dreading it, the more you're in resistance. At those times, just say, I don't need to know in the moment, but what I know, I'm always shown in the right divine timing. And you trust that. Your trust levels have to be infinite. It's truly how it is. There are moments on the spiritual path that are something like a divine graduation. And I made a video, Ascension Update, the point of graduation. And this beautifully aligned with that. And I was not surprised because it's how my guidance always is. You may not realize you have been making much progress in the lead up to those moments. In fact, it is often the times when your mind tells you nothing much is happening that at another level you're making the greatest strides. Some of the most difficult and most spiritually empowering lessons you will master on the earth plane are those of endurance and continued effort in the absence of immediately perceivable result. It may now not seem, light is so bright I can hardly see, to be honest. It may not seem very glamorous or radiant, but being able to labor for the light when you are in the darkness is one of the most advanced lessons your soul can master, and that goes for so many volunteer souls, well, basically all volunteer souls. It defines you as a light that can be relied upon to shine where it is most needed, which is of course in darkness. You know, I've met many people on my path, and I've even met men, and I said, look, you can be alongside me, but you have to get used to being of service. And they didn't want to. It was too much for them. They always found something they hated about themselves. They dreaded it. They felt uncomfortable. My light, just being me, made them feel uncomfortable because someone literally told me, I do not know what to do with myself. They did not allow that. They did not have enough trust. They said, I'm going back to my old path. I said, okay, just go. The thing is that not a lot of people will be ready to have what it takes to go through all those trials. You know, like Jesus has, we have a Gospel of Jesus, these main initiations into spirit to become a full conduit of light in your Christ itself. That's basically, in a different, unique way and form, it's always how it is. We have to go through that. We have to become you know, we have to stand the test of time, basically. You know, we have to be this selfless service vehicle for the expression of light in its infinity. So we've talked about this unconditional trust. This is the hallmark of a truly powerful soul with great compassion. You're willing to feel the light and yet not leave the darkness behind, but rather to stay and shine your light for as long as those you're meant to serve are in need. And there's a lot of people who say, I want to go back. I want to go back to source. It's like, where are you going? Where you want to go? You don't even know what it is. You know, home is your individual sovereign self, which you continue to build and master and refine. When you come to the co-creator level, then you stand with those who are co-creators with the divine. But until then, you're like growing, mastering, refining, you know, polishing your inner diamond. But you never go back. You don't literally go back to source because you already are that. And a lot of people get uncomfortable in the dark and say, I just want the light. I've even met people who said, I believe I was always only in the light. Well, then you don't know creation. You are blind to one aspect of creation. In the same way that once you have mastered your lessons in one class at school, you progress on to the next level of classes. In this earth school for the soul, once you have mastered a certain level of ability, you're given more spiritual opportunity and responsibility. So a lot of times your soul creates this void because, ooh, you know, when the void is over, guess what? You're going to have more work. So enjoy those times, right? Just let it in, you know, accept it as a natural part of life. This as well as a new level of mastery to obtain if you wish to continue to progress with your spiritual journey. As this happens, you're also gifted with the experience of being empowered to serve in new ways or at a new level of potency, wisdom, and effectiveness. What this looks like for each individual will vary. However, you can expect that your work will increase in quality and quantity, that your method of reaching people will either become very clear to you or evolve into a new expression which will better match your increased power. Otherwise, it may be like trying to shine the light of an entire electricity substation through a single globe. A waste of divine electricity and a possible recipe for a destructive disaster too. Your dreams and opportunities shall grow to match the growth of your spirit. When the oracle of empowered service comes to you, there are particular messages to hear from a higher guidance at this time. Trust in your abilities. You do not have to compare or compete with any other because you are at co-creator level and there everything is already perfectly co-creating. The people, places, and situations you're here to help this lifetime have been selected at a higher level long before you incarnated, you see? And also, we have to understand that being at the co-creator level means you don't get to do everything by yourself. Of course, there's things, initiations you can only pass through yourself. But you don't have to do everything alone and think, well, I'm a perfectionist. Only I can do it. No one else has the gifts and the skills. And you forget about the co-creations and contributions, well, that we can make with each other. Let's wait it out a bit. Let's feel the void. When it's windy, let's just feel. I don't have to read right away, right? Just take some time, feel the wind. Like I'm feeling it right now. It's super awesome. We don't have to always go da 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 da, and then we stop and we're tired, and then the void comes anyway. So by following your heart, taking soul-satisfying steps on your journey, and believing in yourself enough to take risks to allow for your growth to happen, you will fulfill your destiny. Soaking it all in. Wind and the sun. This asks you to be open to the changes you feel are happening now or soon will be, including the opening up of new opportunities, additional messages from the wind, perhaps. You see, there's perfection even in this. A lot of times there's people who will complain about my videos, that they're too noisy, windy, not loud enough, and I'm like, stop complaining, take it as it is. Okay. So changes that need to happen within your work or your life to better honor who you are and what you're attempting to do through your life purpose. You're stepping up to a new level, and a lot of you are. And that's this graduation point at this time. Although you may experience that as an internal stepping up where you feel you're still doing your same work, but simply in a more potent and far-reaching way. It could also indicate external world changes you will need to make. So just listen to the voice, which is literally Holy Spirit, to show you the right way in the now. It may be that you need to speak up, take charge, let go, move on, or all of these things and more, to really allow the full power you have obtained through your spiritual work up until this point to be expressed lovingly in the world. It is in alignment with the divine plan that you do this. It will come together easily once you do what you need to do and trust. Finally, if you have been dreaming of something, wondering if a vocation or life path you fantasize about could translate into real vocation, this brings you the confirmation that you will be given the opportunities to do so. I really wish you all well. So many blessings on that path. Empowered to manifest your passionate purpose according to the loving plan of divine will unfolding. If you have been wondering if a situation at hand which is challenging you is something you really can handle, then this comes as a confirmation. You will be empowered to obtain what you seek, and you can and you will handle it, and you always are handling, because you're not just handling, you're just living it. You're emanating it. You're a radiant self that you are. So a lot of times when people express competition, and this happens, don't get me wrong, but a lot of times in spiritual circles, who's a better guide, who knows more, has more information, who has the right information, because there's only one source that's right. This perspective, well, the Pleiadian perspective must be right. No, the Syrian perspective is right. No, they have these beings, and it's like, okay, enough. Because when you're a mature one, you will realize that every perspective, once you perceive it at the co-creator level, there is no wrong, no right. When you go against the natural law, that is like the only lack of understanding that brings you into creating. It's almost like crimes of the soul. Not crimes in terms of punishment, but you go against the natural law because you actually go against yourself, because you have forgotten who you are. You have submitted or subdued to the separation awareness. But once you are at the co-creator level, there's nothing you need to compete with. You are all supporting each other to grow, because the thriving aspect of who we all are contributes to the larger whole. So if you have any blocks or competition or feeling, oh, I'm not doing this, but this person is, oh, this person does better yoga poses than me, maybe that's their path, because each soul creates a vehicle that will best serve their path. And although we can have many, many gifts, which was also beautifully explained in the Aha Realization book, it was a perspective of us doing music through many lifetimes, and perhaps at a certain lifetime you feel, oh, I have to practice too much so I can know something. It's not that you have not mastered this. Perhaps at certain levels, many of you did. But it's now you have a different kind of like stream of where you're moving now. And a lot of those who are here to synthesize their life journeys in the ascendant pathway, they're feeling more like an overlay of everything is at their reach. They're not particularly wanting to go with just one thing, because they've had the experience of really evolving through one aspect or filter of source, but they have now, it's like you expand into all of these, which are all like these facets. And now the ascending pathway is the gathering and the synthesis of these pathways. And I always talk about this as the synthesis process. So I want to also give you a very short exercise you can always do. I do mostly lots of what I call Tantrika Yoga. And again, it has nothing to do with sexuality. People who have this, again, as a misperception, don't understand. Tantra is basically, again, that horizontal appreciation and connection with life. So you're exchanging tantric energy, not just with the life partner. With a life partner, it can be more, because it travels through a lot of Eros energy, which is here to create at the deepest level of unifying polarities. But not all tantric energy that you're exchanging will be of that nature, or what you might call sexual. It does not have to be. So when I say Tantrika Yoga, for me, it's like really exchanging with all life. I can call it many times. I can call it Holy Spirit Yoga. I call it Grace Yoga, but these are just names, right? And the wind is affirming that. Woo! Let's wait it out a bit, and I'm going to show you the exercise. We're feeling the void. Just feel yourself. You're probably thinking, but what's she's going to say next? I have to go do this. Okay, go do that. You can pause the video, or you can stream it along. Such is life, Just embracing all aspects and seeing perfection in everything. And we as humans, we have been not used to the void. We want to create always from the same template, and we don't recognize the void as the aspect of potency that will give birth to new life, not the already familiar, known, and already understood and mastered, perhaps. So the exercise is very simple. Whatever kind of yogic practice you do, if you do some sort of yoga exercises to physically help stretch your body, again, if you want to learn more, you can go to my Tantra Life Force Mastery course. It's super awesome. But what you can do, because when you're learning to cultivate, I teach you that, right? When you cultivate that energy at the end of your practice or towards the end of your practice, bring all of that which you've done or gathered back into your heart, right? And in this heart space, meet the aspect of you which is empty, which is not yet known. It's almost like meeting the void here in your heart, because your heart is full and at the same time it has to know the void. Just for a while, put your hands like this or in a prayer position and say, I allow myself to feel the void as an infinite potency of divine creativity and selfless service. You breathe that in, then you expand your hands like this. You can create mudras or not, doesn't matter. And what you're now going to do, you will allow your heart to horizontally experience or vertically see the emanation of that energy where it wants to move you, and say, I will now expand from this vantage point, and allow that void to expand you. It's just a short, very simple exercise, but very powerful. At that moment, just like, you know, sometimes you start creating circles around your axis, your vortex, or whatever it is. At this point, you will see how the body will energetically move you in a certain direction, will show you where you need to expand. So if perhaps your expansion, you need to expand more horizontally. If that is too rigid for you, you're not yet a co-creator so much. You're very much more the upward moving or vertical. The body would show you, expansion will go like this, right? If on the other hand, you're very rigid in your spiritual perception, and you do live your life, but you haven't yet gone up and expand from here, sometimes the expansion of the spirit will show you, your hands will go like this. Or something in between, whatever it is. You breathe in, and with the out breath, just allow the body to show you where that point of expansion wants to move you. And however you expand, right? Ooh, powerful. Oh, I'm reaching out to you now. So feel that now, this point, this energy movement you're creating, that it creates a golden auric field around you. And that's a golden expansion we're now moving into at this powerful time. Just allow yourself. Okay, we're moving horizontally, expanding. And sometimes you can even create a mantra. Don't repeat mantras out of books without any sorts of empathy. Have your own feelings and your own words come through you through spirit. You can say, now I now invite horizontally beautiful co-creating partnerships and relating experiences and relationships themselves. All that nourishes my life path as a co-creator being. And then feel yourself like this. And perhaps your hands will go again up. And I allow those co-creations to expand my spiritual or vertical, and allow that to meet in my sacred heart space. So be it, and so it is. In the sacredness of the Holy Trinity, divine principles of life in creation, I've just finished the second book, which is the Illumined Creation Principles, and a short update, as I've said, I'm now moving very slowly with patience into the creation of the third book, which will be the Seed of Life and the Illumined Unions. So take care, my beautiful co-creators. I hope this helped you. And if you are experiencing the void, just love it. Love every part of creation, because you are a part of that creation. And by that, you accept the co-creator part at the level which makes your sourceness share with all that are of source, which we all are. So much love. Have a beautiful August. Whatever you're creating, if you're also creating a point of retreat or holiday for yourself, I wish you so well. So many blessings and beautiful adventures of spirit, as I will probably have myself in nature. And until next time, without a further ado, with so much love, wisdom, and power, take care. And if you want to support my path, you can always find my donation page or get my teachings through my courses. Bye. So basically, any sense of feeling not supported in life comes from not embracing the horizontal level. We're always seeking that support from Source, which of course is the basic, it has to be there. But then we also have to learn to bring it to the vertical, from the vertical to the horizontal, to feel supported in life, to know how to be a co-creator, to embrace the light, the womb, the dark, the light, and allowing the void to take us in each moment to be where we need to be, even if for perhaps one very short moment in time we don't know what that is, and it is very short. From the higher perspective, time as we know it, very short. It's like a blink of an eyelash to our higher self. So it is. Enjoy.